Yeah. We're live now on Facebook. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to 2021. If we haven't welcomed you yet, Happy New Year. Hope y'all have enjoyed. Found some sort of comfort in the year so far. It's been kind of hard when you're looking at the news and stuff, but we still here, so we still pushing, and that's definitely what we doing on World Media, on all our platforms, Facebook, YouTube, War on Anchor, and of course, weareregalradio.com. Thank y'all for your support throughout, 2020, and hope you can keep riding with us in 2021. We try to give you good coverage and good talk about all things across the pro sports and entertainment spectrum. And we talk about sports and entertainment. Sports entertainment is nobody better to talk to than my man Dedrian Cologne right there. Dedrian 180. You can see doing it once again, first time in 2021. And we just gonna go over some cool. This has been a busy week for my man. I don't know how much sleep he's gotten, but this has been one of the busier pro wrestling weeks that there's been in a while. And he's because he's doing like 3 or 4 podcasts now where he's talking about wrestling, including this one, doing recurrent stuff with us. He's just been covering everything, watching everything, and I got to give it up to him because he's really true to it. And we're gonna talk about this week and everything that's gone on. A lot of crazy stuff in Japan, and over here in the States, the WWE and AEW have put on some big shows this week or two, and it's like I said, lots going on. But what I was impressed with you even before this week was how the work you put into these lists that you had at the end of 2020 going into 2021, and you're doing your thing as a wrestling media guy, man. You're really putting your bid in, and I'm impressed by it, man. So I wanted to go over these lists that you made.
Which one?
Type of
one
expert will
take like 2 hours to go through.
Well, yeah, we'll try to make it as brief as possible because we're only gonna be here for a half hour talking wrestling.
Do the top 10.
Yeah. Well, let me do the promotion list first, just right quick.
Okay.
Like you had the top 5. You had like 5 levels of promotions, and at the top, at number 1, you had WWE, all encompassing WWE, all their shows. At 2, you had All Elite Wrestling tied with New Japan Pro Wrestling. At 3, you had Impact tied with NWA. At 4, you had Ring of Honor by itself, and at 5, you had MLW. Now, I'd already told you I'd have done a little different if I had a list like this. Like at first, though, I was surprised that you had WWE at number 1 by yourself, knowing how much that you dig AEW. But I could see why you did that, though, of course. But I would put AEW second by itself because I think New Japan was hurt a lot by, like, if it was a regular year, New Japan probably would be number 2 definitely, or maybe even arguably number 2 by itself. But it was hurt a lot by the pandemic, of course, and not being able to do some of the things that they plan to do in the Western Hemisphere. And also, I think for me, they were hurt by not having a weekly television presence, which they have had for several years on Access TV leading up to 2020. But this past year, they didn't have a weekly television presence in the States. So I was like, that kind of sent them back for me. It's harder to keep up with them unless you're really into New Japan and you follow like New Japan World and all that. It was harder to, I know they did some things in California, they had some shows. Like, I'll say that. I think I'm going to want to hear that. I think I know what you're going to say.
So, watching Wrestle Kingdom 1 and 2, they did show a commercial that the UK and the United States will be getting a weekly New Japan show. So that is coming soon. Okay. So they announced it on Wrestle Kingdom.
They didn't say where yet, but they said it's coming. I've heard that too, so that's good, and that's good. I think they know that. Like I said, they've had like a pay-per-view show on Fight TV, which actually I saw they had a year-end show that they had for free, the top matches, and I watched that, and that was pretty good. They had a couple of good matches on that. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, New Japan is great, and they're incorporating some new guys into it from the States. So I'm interested to see where they're gonna go in 2021. But I would sort of put them third with Impact, and I would push NWA down, not pushing it down, but sort of like just putting it at a level at the same level with ROH and MLW. Because I told you before, I love MLW, and I think they did a great job of maintaining themselves over the time where they couldn't put on shows. Now they're starting to put on shows again, and they're doing well again. I like we talked a little bit about the show they had this week a little later, but I love what MLW is doing. ROH, I was impressed with how they came back as well with the pure style tournament and everything. So they did good towards the end of the year, and Impact is really out of that lower group. Impact, of course, has broken out more than anyone. Like they, with their dealings with AEW now, and them having Omega on the show now, and they're crossing over. Like they're really having they're really setting them up for a real breakthrough this year, and it's really good to see. But
Impact, I could say since October, you can see that they're actually going to surpass that era of like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe that everybody always said like that was the greatest.
Think so?
Like they're going to surpass that. Like after watching a few of their shows and just what they're doing, and then of course the crossover storyline with Omega, that's going to be even crazy. So they're stepping out, and what's crazy is that Omega storyline ties into New Japan, ties into the NWA, and of course AEW. So it's like those four. So it's just like, all right, 2021 is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's like bring that vaccine and let's bring these crowds back because it's gonna be fun.
Let's that then until your predictions for 2021. Now, this is the list that we can't go over this whole list. But if you want to see these lists for yourself, go to Dedrian's IG, and it's on your Twitter too, I think, right? Yeah, so Dedrian 180, you can follow him.
Yeah, it's easy to find it on my IG. It's probably somewhere lost on Twitter with all the tweets that I tweet out.
Yeah. Check the IG would be better to check out. So check. That's what I'm looking off for right now. But let me let's just go over. He's got you did 32 predictions, or was it more than that?
32. Yeah,
I see 32. Okay, so let's just do the top 10 real quick.
Okay.
Like I say, if you want to see the rest, follow Dedrian. If you're not already, you should be following him already. Dedrian 180 on IG. But the top 10 pro wrestling predictions for 2021. Number 10, Adam Cole will go to AEW. I'll react to him at the end. Adam Cole will go to AEW. Finn Balor will go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Walter from NXT UK will be on the WWE main roster. Impact, AEW, NWA will either have an all-women's pay-per-view or TV special combined, I'm guessing you say they is.
Mm-hmm.
6, CM Punk will join AEW. 5, Roman Reigns will either fight Big E or Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. 4, WWE will end the brand extension. 3, a more integrated working relationship between AEW, Impact, NWA, NWA, New Japan, and ROH, which, like you said, that's sort of happening already. And Bullet Club will reunite and invade AEW Impact NWA. That's number 2. And Kenny Omega will win the Impact and NWA World title while holding the AEW and AAA World title, which would make him almost like a unified world champion.
Freaking wrestling skills.
Yeah. Let me start at the lower 2 at the 10. Okay. I can see why you would want to see these things happen. I wouldn't predict them to happen. They would be cool.
It's not so much, I would want it to happen, but considering this recent events of Adam Cole, his girlfriend Britt Baker is in AEW, and his contract is up in July of this year.
Okay, yeah, I heard it was coming up. Yeah, so
a lot of those people I put in those predictions because I'm like, you know what, the contract's up. They haven't reviewed yet, and AEW is putting some good stuff together, and New Japan's putting something together. It's like, you know what, these guys, they can go to either one of these companies outside of WWE and still work for all these companies. So it's like, that's a bit.
Well, the interesting thing that we haven't seen since AEW has come up is that we haven't really seen a true bidding war.
Yeah.
So I think if any guy could probably, any active guy, outside of CM Punk, probably any active guy who could probably be in a position to set off a real bidding war, it probably would be Adam Cole. So yeah, that would if he was like an NBA guy or something like that, or a baseball guy, people would probably be saying like, yeah, go out into the waters and try to get your money as much as you can. We hear that as much for wrestling. We don't hear wrestling people at least in public try to say like, oh, I'm going to test the waters and I'm going to do it. Like, because everything is in storyline. So it would be interesting if like a dude really came, if an Adam Cole really came out and was like, you know what, I'm going to be a free agent for real. I'm not just on kayfabe. I'm going to be a free agent and see, which one of these companies is more interested in wanting me. Who's going to back up the truck for me for real?
Yeah. Hey, Randy Orton did it.
That would be cool. Orton did kind of do that. He was teasing, but it was kind of hard to imagine Orton really making that leap. Like, I mean, I don't know. For me, it was, But now let's look at this other move that you predict, like Finn Balor. Now that I suppose that could happen without leaving WWE, which is like I don't see him really leaving WWE. He's the reigning NXT champion right now. I think something drastic would sort of have to happen in the next 12 months for that to happen.
Well,
you got something for it? Okay.
His contract is in September.
I think even more drastic than that. I don't see, like, I know you got this whole thing where you want to see the whole Bullet Club universe reunite again, but I think Finn is kind of good where he is right now.
Well, the rumor now that's floating around is that WWE is in strong talks with Jay White from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So they don't know how serious that is.
That was. We'll talk about that. We'll go into the New Japan stuff that happened this week. You can talk more about that. So, Jay White. Go ahead, though.
Yeah. So, there's that whole thing. But yeah, it's with AEW, New Japan, Impact, and you could throw NWA in there. Is as a performer. If you're on the creative side, you got more opportunity going to either, as you could say, the territory. We could label those 4 companies because that's what they're doing. They're literally a territory. Or you could stay in WWE and continue going through that circle of whatever it is. We don't even know what it is as wrestling fans, what they're doing.
You're getting that money, though. You're getting that money, though. And you work, for now. And you probably going to work less for money.
Yeah. For now. Because there's some stuff that was going on Twitter about Linda McMahon that I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah, you might want to get that money now because just leave it at that. So yeah, as a performer and creatively, as a performer creatively, going out to AEW or in New Japan or things like that is more attractive. If you want more job security and money, you know, you could go with the WWE. But you know, New Japan, AEW, Impact, you know, you have more freedom to have your own Twitch stream, T-shirt line, you know, training facility,
that's true,
all that other stuff. So that's what a lot of wrestling fans, you know, they see the wrestling part, but when you look at it, you know, as a whole, like it's, I told my buddy today, I was like, it's 50-50, you know, like the past couple of weeks, like, I don't know if many people have noticed it. It hasn't even been on Twitter. You know, AEW's mentioned John Cena a few times and and I'm like, hey man, hold on.
They mentioned him on the show. I don't know if I caught. When did they mention him on the show?
The Acclaimed came out. The guys, you know, that, you know, rapping and everything. He's like, I guess you guys think John Cena. I'm like, wait a minute. You don't mention somebody's name in wrestling unless A, you have permission to do it, or 2, they're in talks to come somewhere. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep that at 50-50. So, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, there were people on Twitter like, oh, he's going to AEW. It's like, no, you have to understand the business side. He's in Fast 9. Fast 9 was produced by Universal Pictures, which is owned by NBC Universal, which owns USA Network, which does business for the WWE.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know all that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, it's 50-50.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, with these performers, I mean, it's fun. There is, you know, what I was hearing from various podcasts and wrestling media and stuff like that, that there is a thing that WWE isn't like trying to hoard talent. I don't know, maybe it's because 2020 was a lucrative year, but 2021 ain't so.
It could turn on you.
Yeah, because I mean, you figure 2020 they were making money off a Saudi thing that they had in, was it October? So all that money, you know, they're good and everything.
They got the new TV contracts. They just got 2 at the end of 19. That's where they really get the.
Yeah. So you got that, but you know, they're starting to open up an NXT India and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just a lot of things going on in AEW, New Japan, and just what they're doing. You know, that whole, how do I put it? They call it the proverbial forbidden door, and stuff like that. I just call it like old school freaking unlockable content. Yeah, all right, we unlock this. Let's go. So I mean, the possibility of seeing something of that magnitude with these major companies on TNT or any other network, you know, that's attractive too. Because you think about it, man, that hasn't been done in almost like 40 years. So I mean, you could take the money, but then it's like, man, this is history, and like we can make some big box office if we do this right.
Let me go back to your predictions. I could go over these middle ones pretty quick. The Walter, you know, I think we mentioned them before. Like Walter needs to have a bigger platform, so I'm with that. The all women show with the multiple promotions, that would be great if they could put that together. I could see them them needing to do it together because they don't really have together. Individually, they don't have the depth that you would need.
It's like,
and you already have you got to put them all together to put together a show that like WWE could put together with its women, and you got AEW and NWA. They've been having the NWA women's title on AEW for a while now. You know, Thunder Rosa has been doing some good matches with Serena Deeb, and like that, they put on a nice match at that last NWA show that they had. That was a dope match. That was a dope show in general. That was.
It was like, whoa.
Yeah. But number 6, CM Punk. That's AEW. That's something that people been kind of holding on to for a minute now. I could see it happening definitely.
It's
we got that'll be a real turning point if that was to happen.
That's picking up steam after his appearance on Renee Young's podcast when she asked him, you know, which company promotion would go, and he's like, well, there's more people that I haven't worked with. Paraphrasing, I haven't worked with, and there's more creative things I can do in AEW as opposed to WWE. And it's like,
right.
okay.
He's definitely noticing a lot more stuff.
Yeah, it's you know what I would compare it to when Hogan was doing Thunder in Paradise. That's thinking of old school, because he was on TNT and Turner, and that's what eventually led him to going to WCW. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
The thing about them was they were really like they were taking advantage of that, like Bischoff and them. They was like they were spitting game at him at that time. So I would think, Tony Khan or Cody or whoever, they just got to come at him with the right lines. I would think, and he probably would be, especially now that he's not doing that show with Fox and WWE anymore. He probably would be more interested,
Yeah, people don't know he signed that contract with Fox, not WWE.
Right, not WWE.
So he can go wherever he wants, and the way everything's played out in AEW the last couple weeks, Moxley's going to need some help. I could see another person in AEW helping him, but joining his rival. And the guy that would fit the whole Moxley loner gimmick, CM Punk. Like, it literally...
You could do that pretty easy. If you want to get on some geek stuff, that's... What would be dope about that is the fact that the Shield premiered as CM Punk's backup in WWE. So that would be like
full circle.
Right. That shows you how much we're into it, because we both just like that. But speaking of the Shield, Roman Reigns, number 5, either Big E or Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I'm good with either. I would probably prefer Big E if I had to pick one of the two, but or triple threat. Like you could book that in a lot of ways and really put together something that would be memorable. Roman about to come on now with SmackDown. I think they've lost some steam a little bit with the Kevin Owens stuff, and
that last episode in 2020 was perfect. And then, the last 2 episodes, it was like, huh? Like, it's like, what? How did you go from that? What? And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I think, just whooping on Owens' ass for 2 hours, like, that's not the most entertaining thing. And did you hear that they were planning on bringing Damian Priest from NXT to back up Kevin Owens? Like, just sort of randomly doing that, But I'm going
to talk about NXT Raw, what I noticed this past week watching all 3 on my podcast tomorrow. But continue.
We'll plug your podcast for tomorrow. But the remaining predictions, WWE will end the brand extension. I would pray for that. More integrated working relationship between AEW, Impact, NWA, New Japan, Raw. I would pray for that as well. I would like to see them all sort of working together in some capacity, or at least 2 or 3 of them. And we sort of have 2 or 3 of them already. Bullet Club will reunite. It's starting a little bit now. We've seen the Good Brothers with Kenny Omega. They're building up to their match a week from tomorrow on. It's going to be an Impact, but the Good Brothers appeared on AEW this week, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And Kenny Omega will win the Impact NWA titles while already holds the AEW and AAA, and that would be pretty historic if he was to do that. Like, I think that's the sort of thing that if you're going to do like an extended working relationship thing, you should put that guy atop everyone and have everybody coming for him, and really make that the ongoing storyline with each show. And at the same time, you have the Bullet Club backing them up and fending off all those competitors. Like, that could be some epic shit, man.
That's like NWO, but like a video game version. Like, you get you have those video games where you got like the tournaments and stuff like that, and you get the championships of all. That's the way I see it. But again, I predicted that for 2 years, and we were like, that ain't gonna never happen. Okay, all right, we'll see. But yeah, you're right. This is you could say the genesis of a Bullet Club. You could say a Bullet Club reformation, but also a Bullet Club civil war, because what this is leading to is a confrontation of Kenny and Tama Tonga from the night in yes, the night in the Cow Palace where the Firing Squad kicked out Kenny, the Young Bucks, Cody, and Hangman Page. So it's going back to
one of the best moments of 2019, definitely.
So that's where it's going back to that. So that storyline was still
2018.
Yeah, that storyline was still open for this time. So it's I love it.
Let's go back to the list. I want to go to your top 50 wrestlers. We're not going to go over the whole list, but the top. That's actually sort of the top 13 I'll start with, because this is your top. You just mentioned Tama Tonga, and Tama's in Gorillas of Destiny, and you had them at 13. That's your top New Japan spot on the list, 13. Kind of surprising.
Tag champs.
Mm-hmm. Tag champs,
yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of internet, a lot of people in your position will probably have tried to find a spot in the top 10 for some New Japan person.
Yeah.
But you got the American guys. Adam Cole at 12, Nick Aldis NWA champ at 11, Rich Swann Impact champ at 10. I like seeing that. Finn Balor NXT champ at 9, Sasha Banks SmackDown Women's Champion at 8, Darby Allin AEW TNT champion at 7, Cody Rhodes at 6. Big boss over at AEW, of course. Rhea Ripley, no title, but it's really hard to argue that any women's wrestler had a better 2020 than her. Jon Moxley, of course, was big in 2020. Doesn't hold the title right now in AEW, but still a big name. People want to know what he's going to do. Definitely going into 2021. WWE champion Drew McIntyre at 3, AEW AAA champion Kenny Omega at 2, and Roman Reigns, Universal champion WWE at number 1. Like, right quick, who do you think had, as we go into this busy week that you had, who do you think had the best week out of that group, out of your top 10?
Out of the top 10? Oof. You know what? It's not being biased because I prefer AEW over, I just love it. But it's just storyline wise and just intrigue and just like, ooh, okay, this is interesting. Kenny Omega. Like, if you, out of all those people, he has the storyline that's
okay.
It's almost like how would I put it? Like a branch. Like, it's going into other areas and stuff like that. Darby, I mean, he's doing a thing with Sting. Okay, that's good, but it's not to that level. Rhea Ripley's doing her thing in NXT, but it's not to that level. Finn is doing his thing, but not to that level.
I just watched. I watched before we came on. I watched the NXT show. I haven't watched AEW. I'm going to, but the best moment from AEW was Snoop. I knew,
man, that was funny. Oh man, that was funny.
Yeah, but I watched NXT because I wasn't sure exactly what they were gonna do. Balor retained, of course, against that was a brutal match too with Kyle O'Reilly, but even almost as brutal as that was Rhea Ripley and Rachel Gonzalez. That was a hell of a match.
That was the best match on NXT.
Last woman standing, man. Yeah, that was a great match. And you rarely see a women's match that brutal, man.
That's why I put her at number 5, because she's been the most consistent woman out of all the women wrestlers in every promotion, she's the one that's put on a hell of a show every week.
But she really put over Gonzalez. Gonzalez is a star now because of Rhea Ripley in that match. So I definitely give it up for Rhea. Rhea doesn't doesn't really lose anything by losing that match because she still looked like a badass. But old girl Rachel looked like a badass too. So you got two badasses now. Whether you keep I guess there's for the time being, they're still keeping Rhea down there. So you can get Rhea could get a comeback eventually, but just knowing that old girl is still there with her, it's like, oh man, I want to see them wrestle almost every week now after that match. That was great.
Yep, that match. I was like, no, this.
But yeah,
I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars.
It was Katie having the best week makes sense. We still got to see what Roman does on SmackDown. I know the match with Ray. Yeah. Is you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm waiting for you. Yeah, you're freezing up. Yeah, I'm
okay. You say the match with you say the match with Ray was 5 stars or 4 stars?
Yeah, with Rhea Ripley, I gave that one, I think 4 stars or 5 stars. I think I posted on my IG, but yeah, I gave that one 5 stars. I was like, hell no, that was the one match that had the most energy. Every other match on NXT, it's sad to say, but when I was watching it, I don't know how much time we got left, but
I like the championship match too.
Are we good? I guess we. All right, there we go.
There you good?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you. I'm like, man, what's going on?
Okay.
But yeah,
I hear you.
So how much time I got? Because I know you got another guest coming on real soon.
I mean, we try to wrap up here. I know you want to get to SmackDown to watch SmackDown, but go ahead.
So yeah, with NXT, what I noticed is that if you pay attention to the camera angles, the announcers, and just the style, NXT is nothing but a slower version of Raw and SmackDown without the camera cuts. It's the same show. And it's not dissonant. It's just being honest.
Some people appreciate that because they kind of had a little bit too many cuts on the Kevin Dunn shows,
Yeah. But when I noticed that, I was like, man, you know what? The announcers sound the same. The camera angles are the same. The heels have the same mannerisms. The faces have the same mannerisms. I'm like,
but man, I don't know what's going on with the feed, man. I don't know if it's my end or yours.
Yeah, it's probably one of those nights.
Right.
All right, there we go. So
it's all a unified WWE style, They sort of homogenize everything there, Unfortunately, they could take. I think we talked about it before. They could take much more advantage of the uniqueness of each show, but they don't really do that. They try to make every show sort of run into each other, and it hurts each show,
Yeah, it's very counterproductive.
Yeah, but man, shout out to Chuck Ritchie, man. He gave us a little bit of. We need some more time for a question like that. Maybe next time when we get together, we'll get into that. You see that?
Oh, that's a 3-hour show right there.
Right, and you know what? We may have to do that because 20 in March, that will be 20 years from when WCW got bought by WWE. That was a momentous time.
And it's crazy. We're about to experience another momentous occasion with AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, NWA, and Impact.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh yeah. Man, that's crazy. I love it. That'd be
sort of poetic, man. That would be sort of poetic that if the industry opens back up again 20 years after it's shut down and became just WWE. That'd be pretty dope.
I'm glad I'm alive.
Well, man, let me let you go, man. You know, I know you. Like I say, you want to see SmackDown, want to review it. Go ahead and plug your other podcast, man. As you say, you're gonna
you guys can watch me whenever you could. Yeah, you guys can watch me, Don Julio and Reese on the We Win Chicago.net live YouTube channel. Wrestling Talk. You could watch us on Logic Radio's Facebook page. That's LOGIK Radio Facebook page. We'll be on at 7 tomorrow night. You can check it out. I don't think I'm giving a list or anything, and hopefully this time I don't go off on another person asking a question like I did last week. No, I'm joking. But yeah, we're probably going to go over everything this past week. That's why I did it, because they wanted me to see if I could. I wanted to do, and they're like, "Hey, are you going to cover it?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it." So I was crazy enough to take up that task and do it. So yeah, join us. We love wrestling. We love the art form, and we just enjoy it, and we just want to enjoy with you guys.
Definitely. That's why we do our segments too, man. We got to talk some more about Japan next time we get together too. But I'll let you go for now, man. They say a lot of interesting stuff is about to start popping off in Japan as well. So we definitely gonna do that. But man, appreciate you, bro. And
thank you.
Definitely will be keeping up with you with the Wrestling Talk. Right, man. Get you some sleep, man. You don't have to talk. You know, you don't have to watch nothing after 9 o'clock tonight, man. You don't watch 205 live, man.
No, I think I got something else. Take care, guys.
Shout out Big West, man. Bring the attitude there and back. We want to see cats slamming through tables and getting glass stuck in their head, right, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, you know, why not?
You ever into wrestling, man?
For a brief period, man. This was like just before The Rock came out. Like just before his debut. I remember being a big fan of Shawn Michaels. Stone Cold was still kind of was he just on the scene too?
Yeah.
His popularity was starting to peak. But yeah, it was just brief, man. It was brief.
Yeah, you probably talk like 95, 96, 97, mid-90s.
Yeah, I think Shawn Michaels was probably my favorite. I don't know why, because his quote-unquote special move was nothing but the sweet chin music, the kick, but I don't know. He's just the charisma, maybe.
Hey, you can't take that sweet chin music, though. You get that right on the chin, you out of there, man.
That's true. You know?
Yeah, that was the times.
Yes,
but the thing is, like, it's nothing. It's sort of like, watching ball and stuff. We about to get into some Bulls talk, NBA talk, but it's sort of like any sport with me. Like, it's hard to match how special things were when you were coming up, when you were coming of age. But the thing with wrestling, it's almost like covering it as an industry is just as interesting as just what you see on TV, like covering the backstage stuff that happens, the moves and stuff. Like, that's why I could talk with Dedrian about that stuff, because he knows all that stuff too. So it's covering it as an industry as much as an entertainment thing is what I like to do with wrestling. So it's I work that stuff in with Dedrian too, because like I said, he's just good with that stuff. It's fun to talk with him. That stuff.
New perspectives, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And we try to give you as much of everything as we could give to you here on War Media. So, we definitely give you some hoops talk, and definitely when it comes to that, my man Drew is good with all that. Bulls are going to be back in action tonight in LA. The Lakers. Dread to see what could happen there, but the Bulls have played better in the past week and a half. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, I would say. So they're 4-5 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they've played better. They've just played better in the past week. They've still had their issues on defense. They gave up a lot of points to Sacramento the other day. But when you look at a game like that Portland game, man, that was just a real inspiring win coming back. I think like they're one of the only teams who come back. Like they were down like 15.5, and they it was the biggest comeback I think at least of this year in the league. So they're learning. They seem to be learning more about how to win, and they're getting together more as a team. They got more of their guys involved now. Garrett Temple has made a pretty good impact coming in, and Thaddeus, with the veteran, post presence has done his thing coming in. It's been good to see. It's just been good to see them improve over time, and hopefully they'll do more going forward. But what are your thoughts on how the team has progressed in recent games?
I've just been happy. Aside from the wins, I think we all would probably mostly agree that we didn't necessarily have them pegged at 4-5 through the first 9 games. But even more so than the wins, just being able to show that fight. Those first 2 games, man, it was like, really, guys, you ain't played in 9 months. Some of you guys have talked about how bad you guys wanted to play, and you wished you were in the bubble. And you wish, they would have had a separate bubble for the Elite 8, and then you come out in the first 2 games and get smashed and not really show the fighter any heart. That was hard to watch and hard to kind of stomach. So seeing them be able to battle back to the record they have now, to fight through those point deficits against Portland when they could have folded, they could have tucked their tail in, and they didn't do that. And not only did they not do that, but they stole a win. They got a victory. Big shot by Zach late in that game. I've been happy to see that. I think with this season, like I said, the way that they play goes a long way in how I view them, maybe more so than the victories.
Right. Yeah, because coming into the season, so much of it for me was like what we was expecting to see from the coaches, like in the front office. They were advised. They're overlooking everybody. They're analyzing this roster and this talent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're trying to see what's going to be good for this team going forward, and what they do in 2021 isn't necessarily the be all end all. Like if they make the playoffs, that's fine, but it's not. That this is not. That that's not what we're trying to do. Just make the playoffs with the Bulls. It's like the talk with the Bears is we're not just trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to compete for championships. Mm-hmm. So with the Bulls, we're not going to do that in 1 year. That's not how it works in the NBA in general. So this year was so much of it is about analyzing the talent, seeing who works well with who's worth keeping, who's going to have to be jettisoned going into the 2021 postseason. What do they need to focus on, what talent they need to focus on, and what talent they need to, really just leaving behind. You know what I mean? But there's still the possibility that they can be a playoff team and that they could play better than, what we expected of them. And I think performances like what they did in Portland shows that there's that possibility there. And we'll see tonight. Tonight will be a challenge. What will they do against the defending champs? Well, will they stay in contention, or will they get ran out of the court?
Yeah, and
there's a lot to see tonight.
Yeah, I just saw that Anthony Davis is going to be out tonight. I think I haven't heard an update on KCP and LeBron. So we got to take advantage, man. Yeah. I think I told somebody that having won that Portland game and the way that they won, and then to come back and lose against Sacramento, who had lost De'Aaron Fox earlier in that game, even 9 games in, it's kind of devastating. Is probably too strong of a word, but it's like, damn, you could have snuck out 2 wins from this West Coast trip, man. When going into that trip, it looked like they were probably going to be good for maybe 1, and it was that Kings game that a lot of people were saying, okay, that's the one we probably can get. Against the Clippers, Lakers, and Portland was probably going to be 3 L's. So it was a missed opportunity. But if they can take advantage of Anthony Davis being out, maybe LeBron and KCP being out, that can make up for that in a big way. They've been one of the worst teams defensively. I think of all the teams that are slated to be in the playoffs if they started today, including the play-in teams, I think they've given up the most points. And they've been struggling in the paint too. And we know that Anthony Davis, although he can float and hit jumpers, hit threes, he makes his living down on that block. So him being out, that's a win for us in terms of not having to worry about defending him. So we'll see what they can do tonight. If they keep showing that fight.
Yeah. I say it would be nice though to see Carter and how he would if he could raise up to that challenge. There's less that they stand to learn about themselves, but it's less of a chance that they get blown out tonight. So, like you say, just take advantage of it.
It's kind of like the dichotomy of the season, right? These guys kind of feel like our little brothers. Like we want to see them grow and develop and play against the best of the best and see what they can do. And like you said, they can raise their play up another level. But then it's like, well, damn, do we want to? It's balancing that with those victories and trying to have them learn through victories. It makes this season fun. It's a lot of different storylines, a lot of different ways that this thing can go. A lot of interesting cogs to this team. They got kind of a magician as a coach, man, kind of mixing different guys in and seeing who can produce in different scenarios throughout the game.
It makes such a difference to have an actual pro coach.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's
coaching the Bulls.
It does. Yes, he does, man. Especially late in games, like the clutch situations. Believe it or not, the Bulls were actually in a decent amount of games last season. They just couldn't pull them out. So now you've got a coach that can give you different strategies in those times, and hopefully we get a few more victories because of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my man Wes said credit Billy for the adjustments. Yeah, that's a big part of what he does. He knows, because you can see it from the first 3 or so games to the last 4 or 5 games. It's the adjustments in game and his adjustments in learning more about the players and the rotations and learning what lineups produce more maximum produce at a better capacity, be it on offense or to keep the team at least in games on defense. Like I said, we still haven't seen excellent defense yet, but we gotta they still just gotta work on that.
Yeah, for sure. And credit to the staff, credit to the vets on the team for staying ready, because this team has probably been the hardest hit of any with these COVID and health and safety proprotocols.
COVID, they have. Mm-hmm. When you look at that now, some teams Houston has been bad, and I think they announced a few Boston players are going to be sitting out for like a week. Couple, Robert Williams and a couple other guys. I have to look that back up, but what's the name got pulled out at the middle of the game yesterday? The younger Curry, brother, at Philly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I saw that today. I saw some coverage on ESPN. They're saying that it hasn't necessarily transferred to anybody else, but there's something that they're gonna have some struggle, man, getting through this season with a lot of this stuff, man. it's try not to. I was watching. I saw some people talk about you're gonna have to probably do the playoffs in the bubble again, and I'm kind of leaning towards that. Like, if you want to struggle through regular season, at least you have the rosters. You can extend the rosters even too, but you at least have the 15-man rosters where if you're missing a player or two each game, you can fill in their spots. But you don't want to see that in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Because the rotations are going to shorten, and you want to see the star players decide those playoff games and those playoff series. You don't want to have to see LeBron or anybody else sit out for a week because they were slipping on COVID. Just put them back in that bubble and make sure they're secure for the games that count. But as far as the regular season goes, it looks like we're already stuck to what it's going to be.
You make some great points, man. To the one you just made about a potential playoff bubble, I think we've seen Adam Silver be very much a forward-thinking commissioner. So I'm sure he's he's definitely keeping that in the back of his mind, and I'm probably even already seeing what can be done. Probably going back to Orlando and trying to have that thing be squared away there again. But yeah, it's we're not in the bubble right now. It's a lot of variables going on. This thing has affected me, recently, and it feels worse now than it did initially.
Yeah, personally, you say?
Yeah. COVID, yeah.
Yeah, how have you been holding up, man?
I feel a lot better now. Been back to work after it was more than actually 14 days I was away, but much better now. Trying to hit the gym again. That's probably where I felt it the most. Like, ooh, feel like a freshman in high school again, man. But knock on wood. And I was fortunate to not have anything more but just some mild symptoms. Never lost my sense of taste or smell. Just was dealing with some headaches and fatigue. So, I'm glad that my body was able to recover. And it kind of
I'm glad you're doing good, man. You could work at least and stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It also gave me some more insight. It's different when you hear about it, you hear the symptoms and you experience them, even though they kind of present differently in different people. But seeing these athletes who contracted it, like a Westbrook, and how he had to come back and play with it, it's like, oh, man. I can see why maybe you struggled a little bit getting back on that court.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, people ain't taking that stuff into account like they should, I think. Like, people think like, well, yeah, as long as you don't die from COVID, you're gonna be okay going forward. No, that stuff affects you, man. It may affect you for a long time coming out of it, and it's you're trying to play basketball. Like, a lot of people show that they never really tried to play basketball. Like, like you can't be going playing basketball with half your body aching and you're out of breath. Your the lung capacity to play basketball is tremendous. You can't be going out there with half, with your lungs at half capacity. Right? I mean, you're not going to be balling like you want to ball.
Not at all. It's going to be a ramp up period for sure. And certain guys like a Westbrook didn't really have that ramp up period in the playoffs. That's not to excuse him because he still was making some of the same mistakes that he's made throughout his career, or having to deal with some of those same stumbling blocks. So it is what it is.
But it's harder to overcome him with the athleticism than if he was 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, looking at the rest of the league, man. I'm looking at the game on ESPN now. They got the Ball brothers matchup, and New Orleans is kind of running down Charlotte. This may be one of the few times Charlotte gets on national TV, I would guess. But New Orleans looking kind of, they looking pretty good. We know what they got as far as young talent. Mm-hmm. And that's another team that is sort of, working, benefiting from a coaching change and, coaching upgrade, you could say with Stan Van, so, but anything that's been sort of keeping, sticking out to you about the league in general, like over the past week or so?
Steph's, 62 points that he scored. Bradley Beal, 50.
People was getting on Steph, man. Steph was, Steph may have some burner account or something because he must have been hearing how these folks were talking about him on the streets, man.
Yeah,
and these Twitter streets and stuff.
It's funny the day and age we live in. Man.
He might have heard BC.
Right? Yeah. Man.
You might have heard Brian Crawford talking about him. Shout out to BC.
The Dame Lillard. Yeah, man.
The Dame comparison.
BC is not alone in that. I've heard quite a few people kind of show their preference toward Lillard over Steph. It's just a weird thing, man. This day and age we live in, man. The amount of criticism that we get, or the not just the criticism, but the wide range of opinion, man, on people who are supposed to be like the upper echelon of the league. Like even LeBron. Like if LeBron is game for being criticized or being kind of the poster boy for the hot and cold opinions of fans in anybody's game, but yeah,
nobody is excused from it.
True. It's very true. The thing is though, they're gonna need Golden State, even though I think they right now are, where are they? Well, they fell. I think they were 4th before they dropped their last game. They fell all the way to 9th, but it's like a log jam of 4-4 teams in that Western Conference. But the Golden State is going to need so many of those type of performances from him. It'll be interesting to see how his body holds up. That's a guy that's had some injuries in the past, reoccurring injuries, and he doesn't have a lot of support around him in terms of shooters. Or just guys that can make plays. So Draymond's still getting his legs under him. So, yeah, man.
and they're sort of them showing some life is sort of centered around his coming back. So it shows again how Draymond isn't that like that headline dude that he's top 10 highlight dude, but he does so much for that team,
He does. Kind of the glue guy, like the definition of the heart and soul of that team, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's up with Brooklyn, man? They got some issues, man, and that's another like those first couple games they look so strong, and then now they sort of falling back to earth, and a boy is out for he's been out the whole week. I got him on fantasy, Durant, so I know he's been out the whole week because he had COVID, right? Did he came positive? He came up positive or something?
I think he did. That sounds right. Yeah. And then Kyrie didn't play this last game.
I think he's still out for the rest of the week.
Okay.
So I don't know, man. It's kind of shows how much things can change again in the league. Week to week. You never know.
Yep. Same thing with Atlanta.
He got a positive test.
Yep.
Yeah, he got a positive test.
Okay. Wow. And then they had Dinwiddie go down too. So I think, and they're still figuring things out, like who's going to be the go-to, the quote-unquote go-to guy late in games. I guess we don't have to worry about that now for the foreseeable future next week or so with KD being out, because Kyrie can take over now whenever he does this. Is he playing tonight? I think they're playing the Grizzlies. I'm assuming he's in. Or maybe not. He's not playing. I don't know. Look like he might not even be playing.
Yeah, don't see him on the score.
You sitting out again?
He's taking another personal day.
He is okay
because he took another personal day. So that's the kind of thing you got to deal with him. Is a little bit more high maintenance than even the average NBA stars. So like I said, that first game, the opening game, and the Christmas game. You say you don't want to play. Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Like, yeah, he don't want to play, man. He don't want to be a player no more.
But how much? I think that kind of has to do with the events, in Washington at the Capitol on Wednesday.
It could.
Maybe him trying to make a point.
Good luck getting it out of him.
Yeah. Kyrie is. You got to read between the lines with him sometimes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but he is someone who sort of is. I think people say he took the days off in the wake of Kobe, which makes a little bit more sense given the closeness to the game and everything that effect had on everybody. It was a universal thing, but definitely an effect on the NBA. But Kyrie is he's a guy who thinks about the world around him. So if he was affected by what happened in DC, I could see that definitely being the case.
That's true. I ain't even think, man. That's how tied up I've been, man, with just other things in my life. It didn't even register about Kobe, man. Wow, man. It didn't even register.
It's coming up. Yeah, coming up on the year with that, man. It's a lot. That's a lot to think about, but he was. I'm talking about, but actually, I was talking about those games back. When that happened, that's he took time off then.
Oh yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That wasn't. Yeah, this week may have been about something else. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah. But we are rolling on here. 7:30, just past the bottom of the hour. Go up to the top of the hour. Should have my man Freddie Willis on pretty soon. Drew, if you want to stick around, man, we ain't, like I said, we're gonna be going on for just another half hour. I want to talk a bit about the Bears and this game coming up with the Saints. Freddie's from down there in New Orleans, but I don't know, man. What's your thoughts on the game this week, man?
Man, I got kind of like mixed emotions, man. Even though they found a back door into the playoffs, man, I still want to see them play, even though a lot of times they make me want to throw something at the TV screen at them. But I still the Bears, man. They still near and dear to my heart, man. Even though they cause me a lot of heartache.
We can't really take playoff berths for granted as Bears fans.
Mm-mm.
We don't get them enough, I would say, to take them for granted. Like I said before, we do have the thing where we want to be more competitive, and we don't want to just be settled with playoff berths. But at the same time, it's like, like I said, they don't happen too much. Is AK-41 playing? Well, he's talking about Alvin Kamara, for those who don't know. He's more likely to play on Sunday because the game is on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to probably be going back and forth with that going up to the game as far as his health and, his, I don't know if they're going to be testing him anymore or whatever, but yeah, I wouldn't expect the word for that to be really definitive until Sunday, sometime, leading up to the game.
Yeah, I think
I would bet on him.
So, yeah, I think he kind of insinuated on Twitter that I think it was Twitter that he's playing.
Okay, you saw him on Twitter. Okay, I haven't been on Twitter much today. So. But yeah, it makes sense though. Yeah, it makes sense, and that was sort of like why announcing the game on Sunday was a little bit of a hit for the Bears because he almost would have not played. Mm-hmm. The odds of him not playing would have been much higher if the game was on Saturday.
Yep. Yeah. I say this one thing. Maybe it's because we played Green Bay twice, and we got waxed in one game, and we kind of hung around in this last game, even though the score doesn't quite reflect that. But I'm not as scared of New Orleans as I am of, Mitch Trubisky's. He's got 1, 2, or 3 players where he always like, oh my God, why would you throw that ball? That and then the play calling.
Those the calls coming from inside the house.
Those are the 2 things that scare me more so than this opponent, man.
I feel you. I mean, I'm almost like during the Packers game, I sort of was feeling for a time like, maybe we should just throw Foles out. Because Foles, at least, as random as Foles can be, he knows how to play in the postseason. He beat the Bears in the postseason a couple years ago. So I mean, of course, he's a Super Bowl MVP. He could do, and you're talking about a one and done type deal. He probably is the better look. Really, that's not going to happen. But I don't know how long of a leash Mitch is going to be on.
True.
Like I could see him throwing maybe 1 or 2 interceptions and Nagy being like, you got to go, bro.
Let me ask you this. How much credit? How do I want to ask this question? The offensive line is playing better. Is that because they're running the ball more and they've got the more mobile Mr. Trubisky back there? Like, are we sold that this offensive line can protect a stationary quarterback like Foles?
I would, I think overall, because I think there's an art sort of to putting together an offensive line, or an art or a science to it. And I think they found the combination that they needed to have. Like a lot of people talk about Mustafa, the guy at center now, as being a guy for the future. So they probably, they were trying some things with the line, whereas we talk about having white hair on the center position and everything. That's probably not his ideal position. It sort of starts from there, where you're trying to have certain people fill in positions where they don't need to be, and other people playing next to guys who maybe they don't have sort of a chemistry with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they finally, when they got the line to where it is now, they got a mix, a combination where that would work for the team. But what really makes the difference, like you say, is actually running the ball more and adhering to a game plan and plays that accentuate what they can do well, and then not throwing the ball 40, 50 times and having long dropbacks that put more pressure on the line to protect whoever it is in the quarterback. You can't have them trying to protect guys for 7-8 seconds, because eventually that pressure is going to get on the quarterback, and they're going to do that. They're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
Freddie's trying to call me on Messenger. I don't know what's going on with Freddie. But yeah, go ahead, man. Say what you guys say.
No, I was gonna ask.
I'm trying to work with Freddie here.
because of the improvement in the offensive line and James Daniels, likely return next season. Do you think there's still as much of a need for them to address the offensive line in the offseason, or can they kind of go into next season kind of staying pat and addressing some other issues, namely quarterback?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's less of an issue now, but what you can still do in that first round of the draft is possibly like, and a lot of people have mentioned this kid Rashawn Slater for Northwestern in particular, but if you can get a franchise left tackle, you always do that. If you have a chance, you do that because that's protecting the quarterback. And you franchise guy, you could do that for 10 years, 15 years at least. Yeah. So if they can find an anchor on the line at left tackle in that first round, definitely do that. But they don't have to stress it as much as we probably thought they had to in week 10 or 11 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah, I'm still trying to share the link now. This is starting to annoy me some. I don't know why I can't copy and paste this thing. Anything else that about the playoffs that interests you?
Man, seeing
interests you, Drew?
Yeah, I want to see if Buffalo and Kansas City match up and how that might go, man.
I think that's the first matchup tomorrow, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And also seeing if Baltimore makes amends for losing to the Titans last year. Seeing if Lamar Jackson.
Right. Baltimore.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
I say it's gonna be an interesting matchup, definitely.
For sure.
And I'm all about seeing if Chase Young is gonna put down Brady, like you say he is, man. If he really gonna come at him, or Brady's gonna have a vintage performance and everything,
Mm-hmm.
Like if they take the L to a losing team, like that's just gonna blow up the internet.
Yes, it would. So many memes. So many memes would be had from that.
Right. You saw the memes that he got for the fourth down with the Bears. Like,
mm-hmm.
like that was just a random Thursday game.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see, man. Some good matchups. It's gonna be a
Buffalo
crazy weekend. Buffalo Colts.
Brandon, shout out the Buffalo and Colts game. Let's see if Buffalo do it for West Side Gun and them. Griselda.
Who you like?
I like the Colts, man. I think. What you say?
No. I was gonna. You can go ahead. You can go ahead because I was gonna skip ahead a little bit.
Okay, we got Freddie coming in. I think I forgot to send Freddie the link earlier, so that may be on me, man. I need a producer, man. I need someone to help me out.
Hey, Kyle,
Freddie, you on, man?
Yes, sir.
I'm hearing you good, brother. How you doing?
All right. I'm doing well.
I'll bow out to you, gentlemen, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, Drew. Thanks for holding on with me. We got Freddie Willis on, formerly of the Houston Chronicle and the New Orleans Times-Picayune, a New Orleans native. How you doing, good sir? It's been a while.
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. How's everything up there?
Hey, good, man. Holding on, Just they say keep it safe, try to protect myself and roll those around me as best I can.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys can still come down here for
I got you on the move.
yeah. Hopefully you guys can still come down here for NABJ down here in Houston. Hopefully we still have that happen.
That's supposed to be this coming year?
In August. Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. I like Houston, man. I've been there once before. I liked it down there. That would be nice. I hope so.
Yeah.
Everything's been good down there as far as the COVID and everything. At least better than.
Well, it's gotten it's kind of picked up just like it has been around the country, and you know, we're still slow getting the vaccine and everything. Getting, a lot of people are getting tested, which is a good thing, but the spike is pretty good down here, just like it is around the country right now. So we just gotta, it's just a matter of getting that vaccine and getting this thing under control, and 12 more days till who is out of office. So, it's a real matter of that right now.
There'll be a lot of. I think we still got some bad juju surrounding us as a country. That'll help though. What happens in 12 days? Yeah,
man. I mean, that's just really sad. What happened on Wednesday. I mean, and you all know it'd be a much different story. They'd still be talking about it right now if that were black folks that ransacked the White House or the Capitol. So it'd be a much different story. So we don't need to even get into it. Just thankful that the right man won, and that in time, whether they impeach him or force him out or whatever they need to do, in 12 days, his time's going to be up. So.
Right. Definitely. Well, let's get into a little distraction. A little willing distraction.
Yeah, we got the Bears coming down here.
Yeah, man. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm like, if your guys run them out the building, that's kind of, I think that's something that a lot of Bears fans wouldn't even mind, because if our GM up here used to work for the Saints, Ryan Pace, and there's still some talk that his job may be hinging on the results from Sunday. So I think if Drew and the guys down there run up to score on the Bears and kind of put some embarrassment on, that may almost be a victory in and of itself, even if just short of a real victory, an upset victory. But I think you guys are facing the team that they sort of have a chip on their shoulder, but they don't have enough muscles to really do anything if you knock it off. I don't think we have enough muscle at the quarterback position, at least, or the skill position to really make you guys pay, or to even catch up with what the Saints can do. But coming from the Saints' point of view, there's talk. There's still the availability of Kamara's up in the air, supposedly, and still some issues regarding the overall health of Drew Brees and everything. What's sort of been the main things centering around the conversation with New Orleans?
Well, right now, we're still waiting on Kamara. He did tweet out earlier saying we'll see you on Sunday, because had they played this game on Saturday, he probably wouldn't play. Sunday is probably the first day that he has the opportunity to play. I'm sure he still has to go through some things to make sure that does happen. But the good news is most of the guys that the Saints have had out for a while, like Michael Thomas and the kick returner Deontay Harris, some of the other offensive people are going to be back. Pretty much just about everybody but Kamara. But there was an unfortunate one today. NOLA.com, Trey Hendrickson, who made the Pro Bowl on the Saints defensive line and led them in sacks. He's been already ruled out for Sunday because of a neck injury that he had towards the end of the season. And I'm not going to say that's a big loss, but it's a significant one because Trey Hendrickson played at a Pro Bowl level this entire year. And, the Saints have depth at that position, with Marcus Davenport and Carl Granderson as guys that'll probably fill in that time of Hendrickson. So the Saints are all right there. And I really think for Marcus Davenport, this is an opportunity for him because, the Saints gave up 2 first-rounders for him to move up and get him a couple of years ago. And so far we haven't seen the results of that. And I really think this is an opportunity for him to really show. And, the scary thing, the Bears played the Saints real tight and really should have won that game up in Chicago back in November. I mean, they got a last second field goal by Will Lutz to pull it out, but the Bears probably played the Saints closer than any of the other opponents, during their winning streak that they had. So, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid in terms of the point spread and all of that, because this is the playoffs and anything can happen. The Saints were 7-point favorites against Minnesota last year in the first round, and you saw what happened. So, I'm not putting anything.
Yeah, I got a parlay. I got the Bears under. I got in a parlay. I got the Bears under at 9.5. So 9 and a hook. So I like that number, but I don't like the Bears to win. But I like that number.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think it's going to be within a score, 6 points, 7 points, because it's going to really all depend on how the Saints start out. If they start out slow and they're down 14-3 in the second quarter, then you got to get worried. But if they start out fast and they're up 21-0 and, everything's going as business as usual, then you're all right. So it really is going to depend on how the Saints start because, in the playoffs, possessions get limited. It's no guarantee you're going to get the ball 10 to 12 times a game. You may only get it 8 times, and it just depends. And what I'm curious about with Chicago, I know they've been playing pretty well lately to get in, but I think if Chicago can run the ball effectively against the Saints and kind of get them back on their heels a little bit, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking is going to give them a chance and perhaps to make this a 1-score game instead of, a blowout. If the Saints just get in rhythm and they try to score on every possession, then I can see that. But, I think it's going to depend on how they start because with this group, this is definitely the last chance. Like that little documentary that you all did about the Bulls with Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. This is certainly that for this group because they're going to have some serious salary cap issues going into next year. I mean, they already have $270 million plus committed to 43 guys next year, and the salary cap right now is at 175. So they're gonna, so this is definitely it with this group that we have assembled right now. So, and I gotta think with everything that's happened the last 3 years, if they're not zoned in by now, if they're not zoned in by now, it's not going to happen. I mean, I gotta think that Sean has talked to them And, I know they're going to take it one game at a time, but I got to think after what's happened the last 3 seasons, they got to be zoned in.
It may, to that degree, it may have helped them that they didn't reach the bye. Maybe playing this week will sort of keep them on edge in a way, And you talk about that era of football for the Saints, and of course, it's going to be associated with 2 guys, Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And you mentioned this being possibly a last dance situation for this era of the Saints. I would think that the end of that era would coincide with Brees. So what would, if you had to put a number on it, what do you think about his possibility of retiring after this season, regardless of the result?
I would say probably 80 to 90% certain that he walks away, regardless of what happens this season or this playoff. You've seen the clear signs of his deterioration, as far as his body and certain throws and things that he can do. I just think it's gotten to the point now where if they get lightning in a bottle, where they put together, especially on the defensive side, to where they literally shut down people and get to the Super Bowl and see what happens. Should they go through and get to the Super Bowl and win it, I think that's a perfect way for him to exit stage right. And
the Elway exit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think there's an 80 to 90% chance that he walks away regardless of what happens.
Yeah, it's sort of what I've been hearing too from some people in the media. Like he seemed to be reaching that point, and like you say, it's becoming more and more visible just watching him that he can't really take the rigors of a full NFL season anymore. He got knocked out during the middle of this season. It's been the last couple seasons. He spent significant time out in some way. So it's like, no need to kill yourself. You got a championship. You're an all-time great. You're first ballot Hall of Famer. I know he means a lot to New Orleans and to that franchise, but I said no need to kill yourself. And if you guys can't win the title this year, when are you going to win?
Right. And I just think that with this being it, because of some of the things I was saying earlier, there's going to be there's going to be a change because just with the salaries alone with some of these guys, there's going to be a major change. So, hopefully they get it done this year. If they don't, it's been great. I mean, Drew Brees and Sean Payton for the last 15, 16, 17 years have really changed the culture of the New Orleans Saints as a franchise. I mean, just think, prior to the Bensons buying the team in 1985, the Saints have had 11 wins, 13 wins, 13 wins, this year 12 wins. That's 49 wins that they've had in just 4 seasons. Now, the Saints came up in 1967. Yeah, the Saints came up in 1967. So from 67 to 85, they probably didn't have 49 wins total in
the
18
whole
years.
total. Wow.
Yeah. And since Tom Benson took over, or the Bensons took over, the Saints have won 55 to 60% of the time, where it was 35% of the time prior to that. So there's no doubt, they've changed the culture and, everything and how they do business and everything down there. A lot of that has changed, and it's a credit to Sean and Drew Brees. Sometimes they've gone a little bit over the top to do that, but but that's part of the
bend the rules a little bit at sometimes.
Yeah, that's part of the culture that comes with them, and and that's part of the culture of the Saints franchise as a whole. And
yeah, I like overall, put aside Bounty Gate and all that, I definitely admire the Saints and what you guys have done. Like I'm old enough to remember when the Saints were one of those teams that was synonymous with losing, and overall. And, like I say, in the last 20 years in particular, you guys have really turned it around, and you were there for the city during Hurricane Katrina and the recovery, and able to get that title in 2009. There's been a lot of historic things with Breeze and everything. And like I said before, the Bears are a franchise that just cannot get over the hump in regards to consistency. It seems like every other year we compete, or we try to compete every other year. And, we actually compete sort of once every decade since the 80s. It seemed to be that way. But, the fact that we reached into the New Orleans, into that franchise to get our guy to lead us over the past 6 years, and he still has only got us to the playoffs 2 times in 6 years. So, that's 33 once every other year, like I said, and that's nice, but we want more. We want more up here. We want more what you guys have. And it shows that you could pick a guy you could take a guy out of a franchise, but you can't necessarily bring the franchise with him. And Ryan Pace is not the same. Whatever he was doing down there is not the same that he's doing here as the boss guy up here. So, like I said, I definitely admire what New Orleans has had, and unless y'all. Like your one guy, Chauncey, he's a bit of a loudmouth down there, but you mostly got some likable guys down there.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Yeah, and he's had a good year
with the Bears.
Yeah, and he's had a good year. I mean, for what he does for the Saints as their nickel corner or their third corner, he's had a good year, and that allows the Saints defense to be physical, because you're not going to go to Marshawn Lattimore's side, or you're not going to go to Janoris Jenkins' side. That allowed the Saints to be more physical on the defensive side. And see, that's what I wish they could put in a bottle for 3 or 4 weeks and unleash that in the playoffs. But everybody's going to do that. So, it's just going to, and that's why I was saying it's going to be a matter of who can put it together sooner and can ride with it the rest of the way. Because, this year the Saints, I just looked at this today. The Saints finished 5th in the league in defense. That's never happened under Sean Payton or Drew Brees. So that's what's giving me optimism about this postseason. As long as teams don't try to go up top, and that's why I think the game's going to be close, because there are going to be at least 5 or 6 times in that game with the Bears that Trubisky, if he gets time, he's going to try to go upstairs with the receivers that they have. They're going to try to go upstairs on the Saints, and that's really the only thing that I have a reservation about with the Saints. If they can bring the defensive line, and defensive line does its thing, and the linebackers do their thing, it's the secondary that I'm worried about. Now, I know Malcolm Jenkins is back there, and Marcus Williams and all that, but I'm just really afraid there's going to be opportunities if Trubisky gets time to where they're going to try to go up top, and that's where the Saints have to win those 50-50 balls.
Right. But we got my man Drew's put it up here. If Nagy calls it, and that's gonna be a big part of it. Like if Nagy and Bill Lazor, hopefully he'll have his say in the matter as well. But yeah, I know particularly in our last game with Green Bay, there was a nice deep ball that Trubisky threw to our guy Darnell Mooney, a nice rookie he's really impressed up here. Yeah, he went to Tulane down there, so and I guess you may know a little bit about him.
Noticed that.
Yeah, so
and even in that,
he's been a real good pickup.
Yeah, and even in that game earlier in the year, I think they went up top a couple of times to Mooney and to Anthony Miller, I believe. So
yeah, you're right.
So if they've been watching the tape, Kyle, I think there's going to be some opportunities.
Yeah. And like you said, back then they weren't running the ball really like they should have. The last few weeks they have run the ball, and again going back to last week, it was weird. Like we sort of owned time of possession. We owned the ball in a lot of ways, but Green Bay, of course, they didn't need too many possessions to do what they needed to do. But the Bears have been more of a time of possession, ball control team, and we haven't been turning the ball over as much. So it would be nice to see. I talked with Drew before you came on. I was sort of like, I sort of want to see Foles go in because he actually, has a playoff record that is worthy of the situation, and Mitch doesn't. But Mitch, if they could guard against Mitch's bad, tendencies, and if Montgomery has a good game, that's where it's going to start. It's got to start with Montgomery getting fed the ball and being able to break tackles and do the things that he does that is so effective and controlling the ball and eating up yardage. If he could do that to your guys, then that could set up for play action and some deep balls, and that's where the Bears are going to have to work to be competitive. So. Hopefully that happens. I want to see a good competitive game either way, and definitely interested to see how it matches up. There's probably maybe, like you said, because of that earlier game, it may be as good of a matchup as the Bears could have asked for as the last seed coming into the playoffs. Yeah. But before we go, man, what do you think about the rest of the weekend, man? What do you think about the other matchups this weekend?
I'm real interested to but I'm most interested in seeing the Tampa Bay Washington game. Because I think the Redskins, not the Redskins, the Washington football team. I think they can my first time. I'm sorry. I think the Washington football team can surprise Tampa. And the thing about them is if they can get into Brady's face, if they could get into Brady's face often or more often than he's used to, he's not comfortable. I mean, we've seen that. I mean, I'm sure they watched the Saints game against the Buccaneers when we held them to 3 points. So I'm sure they watched that and saw that game. So that's what I'm thinking. That's the most interesting one I want to see. I want to see Buffalo and Tennessee. I want to see if Buffalo is for real. Because I don't think Tennessee, even though Tennessee had to grind it out to win the division and all that, I'm interested to see that game. But and then we got Steelers and Bengals. I mean, Steelers and Browns. Just got to hope the stage is not too big for Cleveland because they've shown me that defensively they've come around and if they hold the Steelers to under 20 points, I mean, I think they do. But yeah, this is going to be interesting, man. I mean, the triple header, both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Say again.
I said, what's another? We talked about the Bears, Saints line. What's another line that you like in this weekend?
As far as the Bears and Saints, you mean?
Now, say across the league, what's the another game that may stick out for you as far as the line goes?
Seattle and the Rams.
Okay.
That's usually a game that's either a divisional playoff game or kind of an NFC championship game kind of thing. Obviously Seattle has the advantage with the quarterback situation, but I just have a strange feeling the Rams are gonna bring it on defense. I mean, don't be surprised if a lot of these playoff games end up being between 20, 25 points, not seeing too many blowouts. There's going to be a lot of close games because it's the playoffs. And, like I was saying with the Bears and Saints, I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be 31-27 Saints because I think it's going to be that close. And because defenses are going to come to play and, teams are going to turn it over and it's just going to really come down to who executes better at the right time. And,
sure.
That's what I was saying in terms of limiting possessions and all that. Teams could do crazy things, like do an onside kick in the second half to begin the second half if they're down 14 points, those kind of things. So I just think that the defenses are going to come to play and we're going to see why if the Saints defense comes to play and we're going to see why they were ranked 5th in the league in defense. You'll see that. And if that happens in the first half, then, oh, well, it was a good season for the Bears. If it doesn't, then, you never know. If it's 17-14 at the halftime, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm up for that. But, it just really depends on what they do to start out the game. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. And if they have Kamara, I mean, that's great. Fortunately, the other 3 running backs checked out okay, and they practiced this week, so we should have our full stable of people. Even if we don't have Alvin, so
you still got some runners down there.
Yeah, Latavius Murray and Washington and Michael Burton. And the guy Montgomery last week ran 100 yards on Carolina. So we're going to be all right. We'll be all right. We just got to, I always say it every year. Will the real Saints stand up? We'll find out.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see. We'll definitely enjoy watching that one on Sunday, man. I enjoyed talking to you, Freddie. It's been a while, man, and I appreciate getting back up with you, man. Let everybody know how, if you want to reach you online or follow you or whatever, or if, whatever you got going on, if you want to plug something, go ahead.
Actually, Kyle, I thank you, man. I do a little thing after every Pelicans and Rockets game. Just review the stats, the scores, give you my thoughts of the game. I do it on Facebook after every Rockets and Pelicans game this season. It's called the Fbw Sports Report. And we do it live on Facebook after every game, after every Rockets and playoffs game. I do it on both teams, mainly because I live here in Houston, so I have some obligation to cover the Rockets. But I'm a New Orleans native, and I've been enthralled with NBA basketball in New Orleans since the 70s when they had the Jazz there in the 70s, before they moved to Utah. So still fighting that petition to try to get the Jazz name back, but yeah, that's been the thing.
If you need me to sign that, send it to me if you need me to sign that, because I'll be glad to back you up on that.
Yeah. So I do a little thing, it's about 5-10 minutes long, talk about the game, talk about what I see and, things like that. And, Pelicans are off to a promising start, a lot better than what it has been. So we'll see what happens. People are jumping on there already talking about, firing the coach and trading this guy. And it's like, look, it's only, they're only 8 games in, give them some time, That's
just NBA talk in general. Yeah. But it's interesting game tonight. You got the Mellow Bowl, the Ball Bowl.
Yeah,
I saw you guys had jumped out, but it's gotten kind of tight. I have to let me turn back to that game actually, but we definitely got to get you back on to talk some hoops sometime. And if the Saints go deep in the playoffs, I might have to get you back on in a week or two as well. So look forward to talking to you again, Freddie.
Appreciate
Freddie
it, Kyle.
Willis.
And thank you. Yeah, thank you for so much for having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem, man. Great guy there, man. Good follow. A veteran, man. Like I said, worked for Houston Chronicle, Times-Picayune in New Orleans, man. Definitely a guy you want to follow if you want to be up on the sports scenes in both of those towns, Houston and New Orleans. So, appreciate it, man. Appreciate everybody who watched for the show tonight and put in the comments and everything. Really like the interaction and everything. Really appreciate you guys. And we're done for this week. Stay tuned with what we got on War Media, War on Anchor. We're gonna have quite a few shows coming up, podcast shows coming up this weekend. Second City Sports should be up, a new Second City Sports, and in the building. I'm gonna have some in the building edits of our recent shows coming up as well. So keep checking us out. War on Anchor, War Media. That's how you follow us on Twitter and Facebook. And that's it for now, man. Enjoy y'all weekend. Enjoy the football, basketball, whatever you watching, man. Got pretty busy with sports again, man. It's for a while we didn't have nothing, but we got more than we can handle now almost. So enjoy it.
As
and take care. Yeah, definitely. Keep taking care of yourselves down in Houston, man. Take care of yourself, Freddie, and everybody else out there. Keep taking care of yourselves, take care of others. Wear your mask when you're outside and all that, man. And peace out, Trump.
Yeah, that's right. 12 more days. I can't wait.
That's right. All right. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you, Kyle. Take care, man.